Hi guys, welcome back to Dream Scotland. My name's Matt.
And I'm Denis. We are on a journey across Scotland to discover people's hidden dreams for our future.
So, in episode 1, we travelled from Glasgow up to Aberdeen, and from there, we got the ferry up to Unst, the most northerly point in the whole of Scotland.
So we then made our way back down through Shetland, and you join us now as we board the ferry to Orkney.
You see, the good thing about being on a ferry is that people can't escape, which makes it far more conducive to buckling down people to a conversation.
What's wrong with chatting to somebody you don't know? We used to do that all the time when I was growing up. Nobody thought you were a freak.
As the alcohol flowed, so did the conversation.
What you have now, whether it's bad, good or indifferent, is due to those guys who fought for your freedom. Because if they didn't win and they didn't fight for your freedom, you would be under the cosh.
I come from a long line of strong Shetland women, and they were our crofters, and they all lived and worked together. So that's where I come from, and that's what the Scotland I grew up in, and that's what it should be. I actually have no trust or belief in any politician, because I think they're all there for their own political career and for their own ends. There's no logical sense in any of the planning or decisions made by our government, because it's all about the companies that can make money. It's not about logically solving the problem.
You go to like Afghanistan, Iraq, now you've got Syria, and I look at this, and you've always looked at it growing up, and the way you learn is NATO and America and all the rest of them being these countries that are there for the greater good and all the rest of it. We're going over to take nuclear weapons off these guys. Afghanistan, Korea, whatever, blah blah blah. Britain's got nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they're in Scotland.
America's got nuclear weapons. What gives us the right to have them and not them?
In true Celtic style, we heard people contradict themselves and each other as they discussed the present situation.
I mean, how can you turn a society that's upside down and wrong into being the right way up and right? It's impossible. You can. It's just going to take a while.
Although we steered away from it, while looking into this question, the subject of independence didn't take long to come up.
Independence is a God-given right. Every country should have their own independence and be allowed to do what they want to do. Now, that works to a certain extent, but you also need to have cooperation between countries, because otherwise, hell breaks loose. We know that ourselves. World War I, World War II. Well, look at Scotland going for independence. What gives us the right to be independent and do whatever we want if Iraq, Syria, whatever one of them can't do what they want? They went to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I went over there, and when I got there and seen what was happening, I understood why we were there. I know deep down there is an underlying reason that they're where. Like, there's all this conspiracy, they're there for the oil. Deep down, did I believe that? Yeah, I did. I did believe at the end of the day they're there for something other than terrorism. At the end of the day, the way I see it is I went over there, I had a job today. My job was to try and help the people of that country, and that's what I done.
These young kids who are creative, they're positive, but they've nowhere to go. They've been submerged by bureaucracy and negativity and what we can do. You couldn't do this because you're a small country, you couldn't do this because you're this, you couldn't do this because of that. Being a small country, it's inbred in Scotland to be innovative. And if you're talking independence, don't listen to the negativity. Listen to maybe your ancestors, your fathers, your mums, your dads, your grandparents. Listen to them.
Well, what actually we need is a group of people who are pissed off enough to be motivated to make a difference themselves. So we define freedom. We say, what does it mean to be a free person living in Scotland? It means the ability to do as we please, as long as we do not impinge upon another person's freedom.
Soon, people began to focus on some of the problems that we would have to address in a Dream Scotland.
I think everybody the world over, not just Scotland, is to take more responsibility for their impact and what they do while they're here. It's about what you put in your bin. I think waste is the biggest issue on the planet, not just Scotland. There's children starving in Scotland, and there's food that's perfectly edible going in the bin. That to me is insanity. There is enough on this planet to do us all. And Scotland is rich in minerals and oil and food and everything. It's passion, it's music, it's culture. I know people that are living in rusty old damp caravans because they can't afford a plot of land, right? They can't afford a plot of land because it's millionaires that own half of the Highlands. And they don't even live in the country. If I wanted to go back to my heritage, which is only a generation ago, and live on the side of a hill in a pretty button vein with no electric and no running water, and use the water out of the well on the top of a hill so there's no pesticides running into it, I would have to say, I'm not allowed to.
Schools, education, you name it, it's just been eroded. But we're still here. We're still a very, very positive country. But if we believe in it, we'll do it. If we don't believe in it, then we're back to square one.
When it comes to Scotland and independence, I think it'll be a good thing. But our worry is if Scotland will just jump on the bandwagon with everyone else. Because I think this western side of the world has their head up their own arse a wee bit and believes they're better than everyone else. And I think that's a bad thing.
Aye, definitely.
They might have a better quality of life, more economy boosting through these countries, man. Doesn't make you any better. Money's a made up thing, you need to remember that. Money's just something to make up everything else.
The problem is, right, you can get facts and figures from both sides. You can get the yeses and the nos. You can get the yeses saying we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and the nos will say no you can't, no you can't, no you can't. If Scotland couldn't survive on their own, right, there would be no debate. People would say, look, tell you what, have the vote. Go for it. Go for it, because you're not going to make it anyway. Why is there so much energy to stop us having the vote? Why is there so much energy in saying, look, you ain't going to make it? Why? Because they know that once we make it, we then use our culture, our generation, the whole being. We've got it.
Finally, we got into the thick of it. And people started to play around with the idea of what a dream Scotland might look like.
I'm looking forward to Scotland getting independence, but I'm also looking forward for a revolution.
Are you suggesting that Scotland not only has a referendum, but has a second question, which is, would you like an independent Scotland to become an anarcho-syndicalist commune of individuals willing to pay for mutual defence? I mean, how far do you want to take?
Not as far as anarchism, but not quite the way we are now.
It shouldn't be about profit, it should be about people having a good quality of life and what's fair.
I'd like to live in a nation that doesn't intrude on my human life at all.
Everyone would be equal. I mean, it wouldn't matter if you never had a job before and you're first going into work, you should still get paid. If you're good at it and you can do your job and you work hard, you should get paid the same amount. Anyone should be allowed, you should be allowed free education no matter what your background is, where you come from. As long as you've lived in Scotland for a certain amount of years, you should be allowed your free education. Like no matter what, you shouldn't have to pay for books, you shouldn't have to pay for stationery. It all should, that's essential. If you're going to make someone learn, you have to give them the tools to learn, otherwise they can't do it.
I think there should be no borders. We should all be able to float around the world and do what we like. But I don't know if that's possible, but that's how I feel. There shouldn't be any boundaries. As human beings, we should be free. I'm a bit of a gypsy. We should be able to travel.
I think it's unfair how the super rich nowadays can be paying, earning whatever amounts of money, not paying any tax, and then being annoyed at the people who are getting benefits for a good accurate reason. In their eyes, that's a fraud, but in my eyes, they're the frauds. If you wipe someone out, then they're just going to want to rebel more, and they're not want to participate in society whatsoever. So if you help them and encourage them to work and learn, then it would pretty much solve the problem.
see, I'm thinking you have to be totally local when you think about being sustainable. And to be sustainable, I think Edinburgh, because that's where I live now, Edinburgh should be able to power itself locally. Okay? Do you know? I mean, in the war, in Edinburgh, they knocked all the walls down in between the tenements, encouraged people to grow big patches of food together.
It's just a case of actually listening to yourselves, listening to your parents, listening to your ancestors, and thinking, right, we were there once before, we've been submerged so much by negativity. Take away the negativity and rise up.
Dream Scotland will take about 10 years, I think.
Okay.
Independence will come through, break away from the rest of them, and with the resources we have, eventually. And I don't think they'll do well in the short term to begin with. I think they'll struggle. But further down the line, once they pay off all the money that England and that will charge for the money they've invested in the oil, the gas, the rest of it, Scotland will break away and Scotland will make money. Scotland will be the one that benefits in the long run if we go independent.
So now we know what people want to achieve in their Dream Scotland. But how do we get there? Let's find out.
But you can't change other people's actions. You can only change what you do. And if enough people change what they're doing, then maybe something will happen.
You can't change the way people feel. You can only give them the opportunity to do more things by taking away barriers to their own lives.
I think people need to switch off the telly and stop believing the shite they see in the news and actually start thinking for themselves.
The bigger picture is believing in ourselves, and not only for us but for our generations to come.
I think first you've got to educate people. You've got to go around like you guys are doing, ask people what they think, and then maybe do like internet like blogs or videos or something, and then go around schools or something like that. I think if enough people have the right idea, they join together, it might happen. But it should be in a peaceful way. It never should be about bombing or whatever. It should be able to say what you want to say and be heard.
We should be out with our pots and pans like the folk of Iceland, you know. I really think that if people all wanted to have a better way of life and a better Scotland, then it's about the people doing it for the people. We should all be able to realise there's enough for everybody and do what's best. As soon as we can cut out the greed and the profit, we'd have a better society. And that goes the world over, not just Scotland. It's not about what we can get, it's about making it a better place for everybody. If they can do it in Iceland, why can we not do it in Scotland?
I believe deeply that by voting yes in the referendum, the Scottish people can take control of their lives, and by demonstrating that they have control over their lives, they can make better choices about their health, about their families, and about the way that they work with each other in order to make healthier and more effective people. The idea of choice in itself, by exerting choice, you can take control of your own life, because liberty isn't given, liberty is something that you take.
But Dream Scotland is there. It's just a case of grabbing it, feeling positive about what you can do with an individual, and as a group of people, believe that you can do it, and you can be an influencer within the world, within a United Nations, if you like.
Wow, so that was episode 2. What do you think?
It's fascinating. For me, the interesting thing actually was that although almost none of these people knew each other before they stepped on the ferry, the ideas that people came up with all seem to gel quite well together.
Yeah. It's almost as if by framing discussion in a positive way, like what is your dream Scotland, it framed the whole debate in a positive manner, so it made it a little more open and positive about the future.
Yep. Also the fact that we didn't mention independence, and yet everybody's idea of a positive Scotland was an independent Scotland.
There's a lot of folk thinking and talking. That's what you need in this world.
Join us again in part 3 as we reach Orkney and continue our journey.